臭いものは臭い。目障りなものは目障りと言って何が悪い。調子に乗るな無能者。さっさと失せろ。
I'm literally gonna wait for you. And I see you're gonna be like, nah, I'm not gonna like it. I'm just keep watching.
Just subscribe.
And you think the clip gonna cut right here, but it's not, because I'm still waiting for you to click that like button. And the subscribe and the post notification button.
So let me ask you a question. Do you like magic?
Yes.
Swords?
Yes.
Dragons?
Yes.
Tournament arcs?
Yes.
Then I've got the perfect anime for you.
Yes!
It's actually Black Clover. Now listen, Black Clover is a fire anime. It is one of the best anime in terms of shonen because it's covering a young boy called Asta. Asta does not have magic. He then turns into like a demon later onwards, and then he's like,
もしもし
what do you mean wrong anime? No, it's Black Clover. We're talking about Black Clover. No, Wistoria. What's a Wistoria? Why am I supposed to talk about this? No, I don't care about Wistoria. What is that? Okay, is it the same like Black Clover? Because I could cook with Black Clover. Like, I'm a fan. No? Okay. So it's kind of the same. Not really? Oh. Then why are we talking about it then? It's new? Are you serious? I don't wanna. Can I talk about something else though? No? What's his name? Will? Come on now, dude. Will? Like there's Asta and now we're going to Will? I hate my life. Wistoria, yeah, awesome. Let's talk about Wistoria, a new anime that came out this season that actually, fine, I'll do it properly. So basically this story follows Will. Now Will is an individual who lives in a world filled with magic, but he doesn't have magic, which is not that big of a deal because there's other characters who don't have magic as well and they live in this world. But the problem is that Will is in love with a girl who happens to be her, in that when they went to school together, she was ultimately selected to be one of the few great individuals who use magic within that world based on just how amazing her magic was. And as such, she ascended the school, basically leaving Will. The problem with this is that Will wants to be with her, but for Will to be with her, he has to ascend basically the school as well, which means basically he has to graduate but also be selected. But the problem is that Will does not possess magic and it will be difficult because on an academic basis, Will can get points to kind of ascend and graduate, but the problem is that he kinda needs to do magical things as well to be able to ascend. And it's never happened before where a person did not have magic was able to ascend, and as such it just seems like Will is fighting a battle that he will never win. And that is essentially the premise of the anime. It's just a person who is trying to be with his crush. It's basically a love story covered in a magical world. So I'm sure at this point you're wondering, well, what does Wistoria do that makes it so special and worthy of attention? Well, truthfully, I'm not sure.
What?
Yet, because honestly speaking, in terms of the story, it's cool but not that crazy, because essentially we are following a character who's going through hardship and they want to be with someone they're in love with. Not really the most original of stories. But the thing about this anime that kind of gives me hope is that you can see that there's something bigger, because you see the stronger characters, of which Will's girl is part of, talk about this looming threat like a potential enemy or something that will cause them to basically rely on a character like Will and other characters characters to stop this incoming threat, which is pretty interesting, but still, is it that crazy? I don't know. We're gonna have to find out because, like I said, the anime is not done. So there's a lot of room for it to do a lot of amazing things. But the thing that I think that is carrying this anime a lot is essentially the aesthetic. Now, I just have to be honest with you, I'm going to say the most stereotypical thing ever, but it's gonna sound weird. It's Harry Potter / Hogwarts-esque in terms of the school and the environment. It's got that feeling. But now the reason why I'm saying this is weird is because I have to be honest with you. I haven't actually watched Harry Potter seriously. Like, I've watched Harry Potter vicariously where like the people around me watch it and sometimes I look and then I go do something else. But based on some of the things that I've seen from the movies, it's kind of similar, especially on the academic level, like the issues that he happens to have with his teacher who happens to be dressed in all black. I think there is a character in Harry Potter who's from Slytherin. I'm not sure, but the dude who wears all black too, there's kind of like a correlation, and a lot of people have made that because it's pretty easy to see an anime that does magical things and just say Harry Potter. And as such, I have to say that it's got that Harry Potter feel to it, especially because of the things that Will is going through, but also just essentially the school. It feels like an action-packed version of Harry Potter. I mean, even the way that Will has his glasses shaped, they're circular similar to Harry. He's basically a different version of Harry. If Harry happened to be super strong, they're not the same.
Is enough to get me to the boiling point.
But essentially, it's the aesthetic that carries this anime. It's the animation, it's the fighting. It doesn't waste time in fighting. In fact, I watched this other scene where, I'm not gonna spoil, but Will gets into a disagreement with this character who's treating other people incorrectly. And in my mind, you know, Will is the quiet type. And as such, you kind of assume that the quiet guy eventually just explodes. That's always what happens. And I'm not gonna down on the anime because at this point, you can only have so many personalities. But Will approaches this guy and I'm thinking to myself, he's probably just gonna tell him stop doing that and then walk away. Then Will literally grabbed two dudes and slammed their heads on like a table. It was intense because the way it was built up, you would have thought that Will was just gonna walk up to them, say hey, say sorry to my friends, and then he would reveal his face and it would be this intense look and they'd be like, oh my gosh, he's so scary. Nope. Funny enough, his opponents did not care, which kind of made that scene unique. So that's the cool thing about Wistoria, is that it gets to the action. I mean, we're like halfway through and we're already in a tournament arc. So it's prepared to just give us action and entertain you. And that is the awesome thing about this anime. It's not gonna spend too much time world building, which kind of is a reverse play on these types of anime, because you would expect that they build the world first and then the action comes. But in this anime, it seems like it's flipped around and we're gonna get a lot of action, and along the journey, the story will be revealed. And that is probably why in terms of the story, it seems like it doesn't have much, because we haven't really been told much. It's willing to live in the now, and then we'll find out about the future in the future. But with the good, then has to come the bad, because, well, the story is flawed, but I don't know much about the story, so I'm gonna talk about it a little tentatively. But you can make an assumption about what's gonna happen, because it's pretty clear that Will is gonna be the exception. He's going to ascend, and he's gonna be the first one. Everyone's gonna dislike him because he happens to, well, not have magic. But some people are gonna like him who are really powerful because he's got like a spirit and whatever, which then comes into the whole tournament arc, because people are watching him and kind of taking note of his abilities, and as such, this is pretty predictable. But also the other thing about this anime is that the release schedule has kind of been dicey initially. I think now it's more consistent, but overall there's not much to really ridicule this anime for, because I'm talking about it for a reason. It's good. But the last thing that I want to share in terms of the negatives is a purely subjective one. It's just personal. Like I said before, I've watched Black Clover, and watching this anime is really difficult for me, because in my eyes, and I've actually been told that the person who worked on Black Clover is actually working on this anime, and you can kind of tell. I mean, it's easy to pick on this anime. Asta and Will are pretty similar, from the sword usage, even the cloaks. Will's cloak is similar to what Asta would wear with the Black Bulls. There's a lot of similarities that you can pick with this anime, and if you watch Black Clover, the story of Wistoria doesn't hit the same, because you feel like you've experienced this before, and honestly at a better level, because Black Clover was way more intricate, and at times it just feels like Wistoria is using all of the negatives that were brought up about Black Clover and working on them to basically address them within Wistoria. So everything that was bad about Black Clover, Wistoria is the opposite because it's sort of like a weird perfected version of Black Clover. But this is really subjective because Wistoria is unique on its own. It's a good anime, but those parallels are very difficult to not notice if you've watched Black Clover. But I'm not gonna now make this a Black Clover conversation. This is about Wistoria.
Good job!
So with Wistoria, what you're getting is a captivating story about a character who is trying his hardest to find and be with the person that he loves, despite all of the adversity and all of the ridicule that he gets for just being himself. So you're getting a captivating story. You're getting really, really good animation. It might be the best animation of the entire season. The music, really good. OST slaps. It kind of gets you excited from the OST, building up a certain level of ambiance, and also the opening is a banger. Wistoria is going to have to overcome a lot of things, including individuals like myself, who have ideas and perceptions of it that it has to separate itself from. And that's going to be pretty difficult. And as such, if this anime does not separate itself from Black Clover and do something unique, then it's gonna get cooked. I'm just being realistic with you. But overall, it's still a pretty good anime, and it's still got a lot of room to grow. And as such, I'm pretty excited to see what's gonna happen throughout the season, because it's one of the few anime that has taken inspiration from Black Clover, and seeing a new generation show up is always exciting.